is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
He's the first person in a long time that's really offered something different, that's really seems to be speaking from his heart.
I think he is the candidate who has the ability to bring a variety of people together.
It gives you a sense of hope at times when, things in this country are not going that well.
My father was from Kenya, from Africa. My mother was from Kansas, which is where I got my accent from.
I was raised by a single mom and my grandparents. My grandfather served in Patton's Army. My grandmother worked on a bomber assembly line. They didn't have money, but they gave me love, a thirst for education, and a belief that we're all part of something larger than ourselves.
And I originally came to Chicago to work on behalf of communities that needed help rebuilding after the devastation of steel plants that had closed on the far south side of Chicago.
Barack was organizing at a time when everything was collapsing. The South Side, which was so dependent on steel and auto, it was people who had had good lives, and all of a sudden they unraveled.
The fact that Barack chose to try and affect social change, how do you understand that motivation? The pay stinks, the hours are bad.
The best education I received was working with people in the community on a grassroots basis, because what it taught me was that ordinary people, when they are working together, can do extraordinary things.
There was only so much that we could do on a local level, so I went back to law school.
He was all around the most amazing student that I can remember having in 37 years and thousands of students. It was inspiring, absolutely inspiring, to see someone as brilliant as Barack Obama, as successful, someone who could have written his ticket on Wall Street, take all of the talent and all of the learning and decide to devote it to the community and to making people's lives better.
And I came back, ran a voter registration project, Project Vote. We registered 150,000 new voters. I started teaching at the University of Chicago, teaching constitutional law.
The biggest blessing of my life is my family. I've got a wonderful wife, Michelle. We've been blessed with 2 beautiful daughters.
Faith is an important part of how we want to build our family. Our girls, Malia and Sasha, are the light of our lives. They keep us grounded and whole, and what we are reminded of every day when we see them is that every child should be able to enjoy what they enjoy.
Supported this bill and working for a number of organizations throughout the state that are trying to deal with this issue. I think this is an example of where we can invest.
Senator Obama worked on some of the deepest issues we had in Springfield, and he was successful in a bipartisan way.
I don't think Barack ever forgot why he was sent to the Illinois Senate. You're unemployed, you've got no health insurance, your kid is in a lousy school, you're a victim of crime. That's day-to-day stuff. That's what people live on a day-to-day basis. And that's what Barack kept his eye on.
Pieces of legislation that he carried, he believed in. He was not carrying it for a group. He was not carrying it for a lobbyist.
Republican legislators respected Senator Obama. If Senator Obama were to go on and be the nation's chief executive, those skills, negotiation skills, and an ability to understand both sides, hold to your principles, but be practical in what you can get in a real world, is something that I think would serve him and the country very well.
It was hard to get that ethics bill passed, and I watched him stand in the middle where a lot of the senior members of the Senate were basically saying, hey, go away and leave us alone. He wouldn't. He wouldn't go away. That's typical for Barack Obama. He's going to say what he believes and what he thinks is best for our country, not what the polls say or not what the people in front of him want to hear.
You know, when you sit down and you just talk to people, you find out their values are your values. People don't want, the moon. All they're asking for, if they're able and willing to work, they should be able to find a job that pays a living wage. They don't want to be bankrupt when they get sick. They want a good education for their kids. Everybody does. They want to retire with some dignity and some respect. Ordinary people all across the country are struggling from paycheck to paycheck. If the plant moves to China and you've been working there for 20, 30 years and suddenly you have the rug pulled out from under you and you don't have health care and you don't have a pension, you're on your own. You gotta stop giving tax breaks to companies that are moving overseas and give those tax breaks to companies that are investing in the United States of America. Enough is enough.
We've been talking about energy since the 1970s, since the gas lines formed. And what's changed? Nothing. Except that the price of gas has gone up and up and up. ExxonMobil made $11 billion in profits last quarter, the most of any company in history. It's because you've got oil companies and gas companies writing the laws. We are going to tax those windfall profits. We are going to invest that money in solar and wind and biodiesel, clean energies that we can not only free ourselves from dependence on foreign oil, but can also put people back to work.
See a poor child in the Appalachian Hills. We think, well, life's tough. It's not our problem. Every child in America is our problem. Every child in America is our responsibility. That's not somebody else's child, that's our child. And so we're going to invest in early childhood education to close the achievement gap and make sure every child is prepared when they start school. And I won't just talk about how great teachers are, I will reward them for their greatness by giving them higher salaries and giving them more support.
Like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states. Red states for Republicans, blue states for Democrats. But I've got news for them too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states, and we don't like federal agents poking around in our libraries in the red states. We coach Little League in the blue states, and yes, we've got some gay friends in the red states. There are patriots who opposed the war in Iraq, and there are patriots who supported the war in Iraq. We are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes, all of us defending the United States of America.